No, can't be. I distinctly remember. Your birthday was last year.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and welcome to the channel if this is the first time you're on. This is a vlog kind of thing where I'm going to do a few videos, I think, about my birthday / wedding anniversary trip and the books that I've got from it, and obviously my birthday book haul as well. So first off is the first bit, which is the actual birthday itself. So it's my birthday today. I'm posting this after my birthday, but it is my birthday today, so I've having lots and lots of lovely messages, so thanks for the messages I've had. But I obviously had some presents this morning, so I was going to tell you about those, and now I can tell you about the things I've got where we are. So this is coming from a hotel in Liverpool. So this is the Britannia Adelphi Hotel. It's a very nice hotel, and we're here today, and tomorrow we're going to Manchester, and tomorrow is actually my wedding anniversary. So we'll be in Manchester tomorrow, and then we'll be in York after that. So I'm expecting, hopefully, you might find some nice things along the way. But this is what I've got for my birthday. So I've got this awesome book here of lyrics of Kate Bush, How to Be Invisible. I've also had a Ray Bradbury book I didn't have. So Driving Blind, you can see it's sealed. So I haven't taken it out of its wrapper yet. But this is awesome because this is one of his recent books. So I think this is from the 90s, or so it's either the 90s or 2000s, but definitely one of in the chronology of his writing, it's definitely one of the most recent ones. So in my deep dive, I'll probably get to this, I don't know, the end of the year, maybe early next year or something, because I'm obviously doing it in order. But this is a great thing to include. It's a collection of short stories, like most of Ray Bradbury's books are. So awesome addition to my Ray Bradbury books. I've also got another book by Adam Roberts, so this is awesome. So I read and reviewed on the channel Better, which is about animal rights essentially, but it looks at a future where animals can speak. And I've got the thing itself to read, but this has been highly recommended as well. So I think he's a really interesting writer. So This is another book by Adam Roberts. And I've also got these books, which is 2 more books for the collection I've got of the hard case crime books, and I'm building up to a video about these. This actually means I've got 13 in the series, and I think they're really interesting books. Some of them are books that are reprints of old books that haven't been around for decades. Some of them are new books that have been written along the themes of the series, and some of them are really interesting because they're written as a pseudonym, so it's like famous authors, but they wrote under pseudonym because of the nature of the book. And this one is written by Brian De Palma. I think that's really awesome. He's a writer-director, so he's most famous for films like Scarface and Carrie and Dress to Kill, Body Double. My favourite film of his is Phantom of the Paradise. If you haven't seen that, definitely recommend it. But this is called Are Snakes Necessary? Another classic kind of illustrative cover that's really dramatic and interesting. So that's all keeping in line with the series, so that looks really good. And then Joyce Carol Oates. So I have read one short story by her, and I wasn't massively impressed, but she's one of the most popular authors around at the minute, and I definitely wanted to give her a good go, but I like the idea of her doing something for this. So this is The Triumph of the Spider Monkey, and again, like, you know, classic kind of inclusion in series. Looks really interesting, and a great excuse to read another Joyce Carol Oates. I have finally got Mouse. So I've read this, but I read it years and years ago from a library copy, and now I have it again because partly because I put this on a wish list because I wanted to read it again, obviously. But I knew I loved it, but I wanted to do a video on it as well. So Art Spiegelman's Mouse is a really important recounting of his experience as a Jewish prisoner during the Holocaust, through this sort of allegory, if you like, where you've got mice being the victims. Very important book, and quite an important book in the history of graphic novels, really. So those were the birthday presents I had, and as far as the books go, and we've been in Liverpool today, and I went to Forbidden Planet in Liverpool, and I found an awesome book, which is a graphic novelisation of a biography of Rod Serling. So if you're regular viewers of the channel, you'll know that I'm massively into the Twilight Zone, and I've got quite a big, thick biography of Rod Serling already, which is really good. I've had that for about 40 years or something, and this is a really interesting new graphic novel sort of style recounting of his life and work, and it's just really cool because the way it's drawn, it kind of looks a bit, it kind of, I don't know, it's reminiscent of the Twilight Zone, and I can see there are moments of the stories of the Twilight Zone in there as well. So I'm looking forward to reading this. It looks awesome. So I've got that from Forbidden Planet, and I went into an Oxfam shop and found this, which was really interesting. 334 by Thomas Dish. Thomas Dish is a very revered science fiction author. I haven't ever read anything by him, never had anything by him. And this is a really interesting, again, another book in science fiction canon where it's like dealing with overpopulation, and it basically, this society messes around with gender to solve the overpopulation problem. So I'm going to talk about this in more detail once I've read it, because it actually follows a theme of some other things I was going to look at on the channel. So 334 by Thomas Dish, set in 2021, when the overpopulated world basically, well, I'll tell you what, there's some mention in the back of an insidious welfare state. So this could be very old-fashioned, I don't know, but it might be just really interesting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to reading this one. And as you can see, Oxfam, it was only £1.99, bargain. So there we are. That's what I've got out of my birthday itself this morning and our trip to Liverpool so far. One of the things that comes up sometimes on BookTube is, what do you take book-wise when you go on holiday? So I thought it'd be quite interesting maybe to include that in this vlog. So obviously this is a series of videos that I'm taking, reflect on what I'm doing, and tomorrow's vlog will probably be from a different hotel, because we'll be in a different hotel. So this is the hotel in Liverpool, but I'm just going to talk about, I mean, my wife's trying to help out by showing you the books before I talk about them. So this is a book I'm still reading, so I haven't finished this yet. It's a very quick read actually, because of the way it's written, but it's really, really good. I'm really enjoying it. So I thought it was interesting when I found out about it. I'll talk more about it in the monthly wrap-up. I might do a special video review of it, I don't know, but definitely worth looking at, and I really like it. I've heard about it on the Books and Bow channel, Books and Bow. So Willow was talking about it, and they were describing it as Kafkaesque. I'm not sure if I'd describe it as Kafkaesque yet, but it's very good, very, very interesting, well written, very funny, very real, except obviously the premise isn't real because the guy has been sucked into a computer program. But yeah, really, really cool book. So anyway, I haven't finished that yet, so I brought that with me. I've also brought this with me because I'm halfway through this. So this is obviously part of my Ray Bradbury deep dive. This is the third book I've been reading for that. So I've got this in case I finish that and I want to get onto this. And I have brought this with me. So you've seen recently on the channel I announced my involvement in Book Trek. Even though I called it Trek Book on the video, I know, but it's called Book Trek. And I've brought the first book I'll be reading for that event. So that's part of a trilogy. And you can see Esri Dax there. Clearly there's some DS9 connection in the first book. But that is my first book in the Book Trek event that I'll be reading. And again, I do bring a few different options with me. I might read the first one of these because this is something I'll be rereading soon. I'm going to be rereading the whole of the series. I've got a video coming up soon about what I'm rereading in general in the next kind of year or so, and why I'm rereading them. But yeah, I might start this one as well, I don't know. So lots of options, as well as the books that I've had for my birthday and ones that I've bought, which is obviously further down the video. There we go. So I had to do this bit because we're obviously still in Liverpool, and being in Liverpool, we thought we should go inside the cavern. So last year we came to Liverpool for the first time, and we went down through the Cavern quarter and went and saw the John Lennon statue and all the sort of images all over the buildings, but we didn't go inside the cavern. So this year I wanted to go inside the cavern, and I thought just have a drink in the cavern and listen to some live music. I assumed there'd be live music. It is a Sunday, so I didn't know if that was still a thing. I had no idea what we were going to. So I don't know if you know Liverpool, but Liverpool is incredibly lively city. So when we were here last time, we were here on a weekday, and the guy that gave us some fast food, it was like a fried chicken kind of place, he was chatting loads about Liverpool, and he said you should come down on a weekend because then that's when Liverpool comes alive, and Liverpool never sleeps, and literally the streets are full all night, every night through the weekend. And absolutely proved that tonight. It's been an incredible atmosphere. There's live music everywhere. Almost every building in the main streets have live music in this sort of, the main city centre, and it's amazing. And the Cavern had this all-day event happening. So this is an all-day event. It's a festival that runs through the whole week, and we just happened to be here on the first day, and this festival is over 100 bands are playing through the week in the Cavern, and it was just the whole experience was amazing because you go down these steps, these iconic steps that lead to the Cavern, and it's huge. It is huge, and there's 2 different stages. The sound was amazing as well, by the way. One of the best sounding stages I've heard for ages. And luckily we're there at the right time, because the first band that played were called the Wens from Italy, and we bought their CD. We bought their CD because they were absolutely fantastic. Really, really good band. Kind of a bit of an REM kind of sound, I thought, but that kind of rock, and it was just so good. The performances were amazing, but the songs were really good as well. So we bought their CD, and we saw 4 other bands as well. So we saw 5 bands, and 2 of them were kind of doing sort of crowd-pleasing covers and stuff, but the other 3 were original bands. And it was just an amazing atmosphere, and we bought some merch as well. So it's like a museum as well as a venue, and there's like the walls are lined with loads of stuff and like merch that you can buy, but loads of signed guitars and information about the people that played there. What was it, 292 times? 292 times the Beatles played in a very short period between a couple of years before they obviously started playing around the world and that. So 30 years ago we decided to have our wedding the day after my birthday. So this is not really a birthday trip, this is an anniversary trip. It did feature my birthday, which I've talked about already, but it's our wedding anniversary this morning, and we've exchanged presents, and this is a very special present I've been given. It's a book, so very relevant. Yes, and I've got Ali the ring. I'm keeping this book in this box, I think. But I'm going to show it to you guys now. So regular viewers of the channel will know that to say I liked Kate Bush would be an understatement. And this is a massive, a very expensive and quite special book that came out from her brother called, so he's John Carter Bush, and Inside the Rainbow it's basically, it's like his lifetime of taking photos of his sister, and they're all like, it's amazing photos of either the shooting the videos as Army Dreamers, or when they were growing up. There's like, hold on, I'll go back to the early bit. There's so much in there, like early up, like candid photos of Kate. She's growing up, and goes right up to. So these ones, you never see these kind of photos of Kate Bush. How cool is that? They're in natural photos. Clearly, she would have been very comfortable with her brother. It basically goes up to the director's cut kind of period. So when she did, she did an album where she re-recorded her old stuff. I think she made that for 50 Words for Snow as well. So anyway, yeah, very special book. It's going back in here, so I'll just take it out to read it. It'll stay in good condition. Kate Bush. Cheers. We're now in Manchester, so we're in Liverpool, now we're in Manchester. We're in a very posh hotel, and we've just been around Manchester High Street and that, and I've got some books. So, as I did with the Liverpool trip, I'm going to show you what I've got from Manchester. And starting with a book that Ollie's talked about on his channel, and I found it at Waterstones. I had to get it because it looked really interesting. So this is Cunning Folk, a folk horror novel by Adam L.C. Neville. So I'll just read the back a little bit. I should have read the back from the ones at Liverpool, but money's tight, and then hold on. Deep in rural southwest England, with an ancient wood at the foot of the garden, Tom and his family are miles away from anywhere and anyone familiar. His wife, Fiona, was never convinced that buying the money pit at auction was a good idea, not least because the previous owner committed suicide, though no one can explain why. Within days of crossing the threshold, when hostilities break out with the elderly couple next door, Tom's dreams of future contentment are threatened by an escalating tit-for-tat campaign of petty damage and disruption. Blah, 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 blah. Increasingly isolated and tormented, Tom risks losing his home, everyone dear to him, and his mind, because surely only the mad would suspect that the oddballs across the hedgerow command unearthly powers. A malicious magic even older than the eerie wood and the strange barrow therein, a hallowed realm from where he suspects his neighbours draw a hideous power. So a folk horror story built around neighbour disputes. But their review really made it sound awesome when Ollie reviewed it on his channel. So I've got that one. I also found tons and tons of the hard case crime books. So I think they're a really fascinating series, and I'm trying to find the quirky ones as well. There's tons of the Quarry series, which I haven't delved into yet because they look a little bit more normal, but this is a Gore Vidal book. So Gore Vidal, obviously mega famous author, and this is called Thieves Fall Out. It's got a bit of a saucy cover, but Gore Vidal is obviously a very celebrated author. I just think that's really interesting. So there we go. Hiromi Kawakami, I've talked about her a few times on the channel. This is the third book. If I read this one next, this will be the third book I read by her. So I read a really awesome book called Strange Weather in Tokyo, and then I read People in My Neighbourhood, which was really interesting, quite different. I've already got the 10 Loves of Mr. Nishino, I think it's called. I need to read that, but this I think is her most famous book, so the Nakano Thrift Shop. So again, the really cool design on the covers, that this fits the covers of the other two, the 10 Loves of Mr. Nishino and Strange Weather in Tokyo. I really like those designs. So this is the pink one, there's a red one and the yellow one. But yeah, this is supposed to be really good. It's kind of, I think this is the thing that made her famous. So I really like the other two that I've read. So I got that one. Daniel Keyes, I found a book that I'd never seen before by him. So he is the author of arguably my favourite book, certainly my joint favourite book, Flowers for Algernon. So finding another book by him made me want to read what it's about. And it does seem to be a really strange plot, actually, about multiple personalities. So The Fifth Sally, we'll probably read this one soon because I can't tell you how much I love Flowers for Algernon. So this will be interesting. Daniel Keyes, The Fifth Sally. And in a second-hand shop, this is really new quality. This is fantastic condition. But I found in an Oxfam, Let the Right One In. So I've always wanted to read this, and a few times I've almost bought it new, and I've seen the film, the original film. I haven't seen the American remake, but I've seen the original Swedish film, which is amazing. The book's supposed to be better, inevitably, and I'll read this hopefully before Halloween, so I can hopefully have it as a recommendation on the channel for Halloween, but definitely want to read this relatively soon. It's a fantastic film, so I'm sure it's a fantastic book. So Let the Right One In. Let me know if you've read that. And that was my Manchester book haul. Hello everyone. No, I'm not going to do that. I've already done that.
Yum, 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 yum.
Okay, so this is the third hotel in 3 days. Now we're in York, and we've had a fantastic day. So we're actually here for a couple of days, and the first day was fantastic. And we went around the Shambles, which, if you know York, Shambles is a really big centre of attraction. This fantastic old area where there's old buildings and really cool independent shops. And the Shambles was awesome. But obviously, this is essentially a book haul video. So I'll show you the books I got in the Shambles, mostly from one particular shop. So that I found a fantastic bookshop, the Minster Gate Bookshop, I think it's called, and it was really cool. It was loads of floors, loads of rooms, in the, like a couple of rooms at each floor, and tons and tons of books, and yeah, brilliant. So I'll show you what I've got. So what I hadn't been getting a lot in this video, and for some reason it seems like I haven't been getting as much of, is my first love with science fiction. So I've got a book by the Strugatsky brothers, who are most famous for Roadside Picnic, which is an amazing book, and this is The Snail on the Slope. So on the back here, it's kind of put into two different sections. So the first section is subtitled Enter the Administration. Perret spends his day navigating its bureaucracy, trying to get to the strange forest far below. Except his attempts only trap him further within the workings of this strange organisation. And in the second subtitle, it says Enter the Forest. Candide cannot remember how he got there, and he certainly belongs somewhere else. But all paths he chooses lead him round strange bends and into encounters with bizarre creatures. And then I also got a Roger Zelazny book. So a Roger Zelazny book that I haven't got or never had. So I've had a bunch of his books over the years, but this is called Roadmarks. And this sounds awesome. So Red Dorokeen has been on the road for a very long time, for all of time in fact. It stretches infinitely into the future and the past, with exits that take him wherever or whenever he wants to go, but he can't find the place he wants to be. He's not the only one who can travel the road, and as people join and leave, they can alter the past or the future to suit their whims. Exits close off, become overgrown, and working out what to change back to return to old timelines could take forever. Fortunately, Red has all the time he could ever need. Sounds awesome. Messing around with time. So that's two of the SF Masterworks I got from that shop. If you've been watching the channel, you know that I'm very slowly going through a project which is called Folklore, Folk Stories and Fairy Tales, something like that. Fairy Tales, Folklore and Folk Stories. And basically I'm going around the world with them, and I'm starting with the Brothers Grimm and Aesop's Fables. And I'm like taking lots of different things from around, but I haven't had any Japanese folk stories yet, but this book I found will answer those questions. So it's a really lovely hardback one, similar to the African one I've got. Really cool Japanese myths and legends there. And then I've got another one of Viking folk tales. So there's lots of Viking books in these shops around here because of the sort of Viking connection with York. But I went for this. It's relatively cheap compared to some of the other ones I found, but I quite liked its sort of format. So Viking folk tales was another one I got. I've got a book by Machiko Kakutani called The Death of Truth, and this is a really interesting one, I think, because one of the things that I think has been the most disturbing thing of recent times is the way that truth is so fluid and so subjective, and science is doubted, and all sorts of things are in doubt now which were just facts. And this book explores that and how this author explains how that's happened. So I'll be reading this and probably reviewing the book once I've read it because it looks really interesting. So The Death of Truth. There's a really interesting Soviet Penguin modern classic I've got that's set during Stalin's time. As you can see, it was only £1.50. Haven't taken that off yet. So this is by Alexander Solzhenitsyn. One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich. I'll say that. And it's a kind of a condemnation of Stalin, and it's apparently very depressing, but it looked really interesting. And I have got a really strong interest in Stalin and Stalinist Russia and that kind of stuff. So I think I'll really like that. So that's another one I've bought today. And one last one, which is a big old academic history book from the Johns Hopkins University Press. So it's an American university textbook, and it's The Cult of Remembrance and the Black Death. So this goes really well with the Historathon that I'm taking part in this year. And it's all about how Italy, central Italy, was hit by the Black Death twice. So in the late 1300s, it had a second bout of the Black Death, and this book explores how they reacted differently the second time and how some of the social conventions changed, and its effect on Italy. So it sounds really cool, and it's it's a proper academic book with really cool information there about the Black Death. So this does fit well with this period that we're looking at the moment in the Historathon as well. So there we are. So that was my first day in York, and it's an amazing place. Okay, so this is the last full day we've got in York, and I've got a few books to add to what I've been building up in this book haul, and again, a really successful day. We did some lovely things. We went to the Viking Museum, which was fantastic. Definitely recommend that, and a few other places. But as far as the books go, I'm going to finish with the biggest find that absolutely made my day right at the end of the video. But for now, I'll show you what I got. So I've posted this series up before. The first one I had in this series was an African Myths and Legends, which a friend of mine gave me as a gift. I think the series is awesome. So this is Egyptian Myths and Legends that goes along with my folktales deep dive that I'm going to be doing over the next couple of years. And on that theme, with that event in mind, got a very pretty and dinky Hans Christian Andersen fairy tales one here, which I think I'm going to really enjoy having. It looks awesome, but it doesn't take too much room on the shelves, which is good, which is also true for this Brothers Grimm one. So I have already shown a massive Brothers Grimm book I've got. This has got the same amount of material on it, but it's tiny, and partly because the writing is tiny. But I think because I have got too many books, I'm going to get rid of this massive one I've got, replace it with this one, and I think it's much prettier as well. And as I've been reading the Brothers Grimm book, at the moment I'm on story 20 something, I can't remember, but I'm getting through it. I'm going to transfer to this one, which would probably be a nicer read anyway. So Brothers Grimm fairy tales. I started with the Brothers Grimm because they're the most famous, I imagine, fairy tales, but I'm going to be going through the fairy tales folklore stuff for the next couple of years. But Brothers Grimm, I went into the works and found the new book by Bob Mortimer. So Bob Mortimer is a British comedian. He's a really funny guy, naturally funny guy. If he's on anything, he always steals the show. And he's written a book called The Satsuma Complex. And I read the back. It sounds really funny. It's probably going to be funny because Bob Mortimer couldn't resist it. And I'll let you know what I think of that. So I'll put that as well. Bob Mortimer. Anyone in the UK, let me know what you think of Bob Mortimer, because he's famous. He's kind of appeared probably more on his own lately, but for, 20, 30 years or something, he was part of a duo, Vic and Bob, and Vic Reeves and him did these awesome programs. But yeah, Bob Mortimer's awesome. And two more to finish. So if you know the Bobiverse, We Are Bob was the first book. It was quite a shock to see the second book in a second-hand shop. I think it was Oxfam. Yeah, I found this in Oxfam. So it was only, was it $3.99 or something? $2.99. And this is, I'm pretty sure these books are self-published. There's lots of evidence of it being self-published. And quite a find. But We Are Bob was the first book. Let me know if you read that. And this is the second one, For We Are Many, Dennis E. Taylor. And then the last one I'm going to mention, which is, I've been looking for this for so long, and people have been talking about it. It's quite a small book, but it seems to be one that people treasure a lot. And I am a massive fan of Becky Chambers. And I've done videos about her before, but this, I now finally have Some for the World Built. So this is the first in the Monk and Robot series, and I can't wait to read this. So big find to finish the video off. There we go. If you've got this far, thanks for watching. Bye.